Just waiting for any more people to join, and once the song finishes, we'll just get started.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's such an honor to be in community with everyone here and to be in community with our brilliant Youth Advisory Board who have prepared such an incredible presentation for you all. And we're going to get started in just a moment, but I wanted to just share some quick words to get us grounded. So over the past year, our Youth Advisory Board have stepped into profound leadership roles and engaged in critical decision-making, from reviewing grant applications to selecting grantees to organizing and leading panels, and the New Jersey Summit that was just so powerful and incredible for so many of us all this past December. And in addition to all of these amazing contributions that our Youth Advisory Board have made to the New Jersey Justice Collaborative for Girls, behind the scenes, they've been working together over the last year to design and implement a qualitative research study that evaluated the impact of initiatives implemented by our New Jersey Justice Collaborative for Girls grantees. And I could go on and on about the significance of having young people lead program evaluation, having young people engaged in research. But I will say that this work is deeply rooted in our belief that girls and gender expansive young people of color are the experts of their needs, they're the experts of their lived experiences, and they're the experts of programming initiatives that are impacting their lives and impacting the lives of young folks in their communities. And this work would not be possible without us, the intentionality that we put into cultivating a space that authentically amplifies the voices, the leadership, and collective power of girls and gender expansive young people of color. So I really just want us to all rest in just the power that is going to come out of this presentation today, and just extend our deepest gratitude to the service and advocacy of our Youth Advisory Board who have lent their expertise to us over this past year, while simultaneously balancing so many things, so many leadership responsibilities outside of our New Jersey Justice Collaborative for Girls, to put forth such incredible work that is impacting the lives of so many girls and gender expansive young people of color across New Jersey. So with that being said, it gives me great honor to pass the floor over to Haley and Jasmine, who are going to get us started with the research presentation this evening.
Okay, guys, so here's our presentation on our focus groups. We'll talk a little bit more into how the process was, but thank you so much, Jamelia, for the introduction. Like Jamelia said, doing this on top of, school and work and classes, it has taken a lot from us, but we couldn't be more thankful and happy to, be given the opportunity to even be put into these spaces, because a lot of times it's a conversation about us, but we're not there. But I feel like with the New Jersey Justice Collaboratives for Girls, we've always been part of the conversation, always part of the planning process. And it's really been an amazing journey just being immersed into the work of social justice and, hearing the impact that these programs really do have on girls in their communities. I'll go on to the next slide. So just to have a little welcome / opening ritual in the chat, if you guys could please share your names, preferred pronouns, the organization or program affiliation you have to your community, and what resolution you have for 2024. I'll say mine out loud while you guys type yours in. So hi, my name is Jasmine, and it's spelled without the E. and my last name is Langomas. My pronouns are her, she, like the chocolate. I did steal that from one of our meetings. Organization, as you know, New Jersey Justice Collaboratives for Girls Youth Advisory Board. And one resolution I have for this year is to do a pull-up. I've been going to the gym and I've been working out all the muscle groups, but something about pull-ups and push-ups just not happening for me. But this year, I'm locking in. I'm gonna do it, guys. And then in the chat, we have some responses. We have Aisha from Just Enjoy. Her reflection is to focus on health and fitness. Okay. Anyone else wants to share in the chat?
Is known as the Biscuit Lady. Her kitchen operates at Lucky's Trading Company in Manio, but she's prepared to open up a new shop. All right, actually,
Is someone unmuted? I don't know if you want to. So, and then we have Rose from Harambe Social Services Girl in Charge. Hello, Rose. We got Jamelia, Senior Research Director at Justice and Joy National Collaborative. And resolutions prioritize joy. I love that. You know, we have pronouns she, her, hers, just enjoy, resolution to spend more time outside. Yes. This weather though, I don't understand. It's like freezing rain one day, and then like the whole day gloomy raining. This New Jersey weather is definitely not for the
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that was, but we have Francis, Division on Women Resolution, to love regardless. Oh, love that. Rose's focus is to constantly take medication and vitamins. I felt that. I'm a vitamin D and iron deficiency girly. I am taking my vitamins in the morning. Got Jasmine, Senior Director of People Operations. I just enjoy resolution to put myself first more. Yes. Marlenis, I think I'm saying that right. Division on Women, resolution to grow in all aspects of life. Love that. For real on the weather. Jessie, pronoun to her, she. I love that. Just enjoy VP SBA. New Year's resolution, get more sleep. We be taking sleep for granted. And actually, one of the programs that we interviewed, their whole kind of spiel was prioritizing sleep and how that plays a whole like role in your mental health and your ability to function properly. All right, well, as you guys keep sharing that, you can keep reading them in the chat. I'm gonna move on to the next slide. So just some housekeeping items that we want to keep in mind during today's session is if you have a question to ask, please use it in the QA box or just the chat. These questions will be answered at the end of the panel discussion, which will be after our presentation on the research elements. And you try to keep yourself muted just so we can focus our attention to people who are speaking. And then we will be recording the entire presentation. The recording will be emailed to all participants after the webinar. So if you heard something but didn't quite hear it correctly, don't worry, you'll be able to reference this presentation later. And then just some community agreements that we wanted to put for the space. We want to make sure that we're practicing empathy, patience, putting your best foot forward, be mindful of your words and actions, especially when it comes to questions, be open-minded, don't doubt yourself, be straightforward, no judgment, open communication, give yourself grace, respect others' opinions, and ask questions. So just to introduce ourselves again, hi, my name is Jasmine. We have Haley, who's also going to be co-presenting with me. We have Chim, Kirsten, who couldn't be here today, Naima, Karen, Julia, and Jasmine. I'll pass it off to Haley now.
Yes. Hi, everybody. So I'm very grateful that all of you could be here and that we are able to share a little bit of what we have done so far. So just to share like the journey, we started off in summer of 2022 reviewing the applications and awarding the grantees who are here with us today. And then in September of 2022, we met with them in person, and this is where they first shared a little bit about who they are and what their plan is and how they were going to use the money that they received. And then in April, we met. April of 2023, we met to discuss the LEAD Summit. That's where first the idea popped up, and we there's some of the grant recipients were there as well, and they got to hear in on what our inspiration was behind creating the summit. And then in September 4, this is where we had direct like interaction with the program participants, and we heard from them about their experience so far with the programs. And then in December 2nd, we had our Lead Summit, which went very well. I think it was way better than like I expected in terms of the sheer number of people that were there, and it was very close to what we had originally imagined. So definitely is really good to see a lot of people and a lot of youth be there. And then today is we're presenting our research, and a lot of what the research is not just about the program, but I think overall in the year and half that YAB has been working, there's some of the points that we also wanted to make that we are going to present here today. Can we go on to the next slide? Okay, so in terms of the research background, the study was actually a youth-led evaluation project, and it was designed to assess the impact of the initiatives from NJCG, and we wanted to make sure that we understand how has the programs helped with participants' personal growth and leadership development. Are there areas of program that were really successful, and is there areas where there's a little bit of opportunity for growth and overall improvement? And to begin this project, we developed an evaluation metric. We wanted to first understand, okay, what are we trying to assess, and then reflected on our core values and core values that guided our decisions while selecting the grantees. And then we use this evaluation metrics as our guiding research questions and focus group guides that we had created before meeting all of the program participants in person. Yep.
So now going into specific questions for our focus group topics, like Haley mentioned, we wanted to focus on different aspects. So the first aspect, instead of questions, was focused around personal growth and leadership. And we wanted to include a question just so you get a feel for how the focus groups went. So the question for personal growth and leadership was, think back to before you joined your program. Looking back, do you remember any instances where you could have been a leader, possibly stepped back for any reasons? Then for our second topic, we focused on opportunities for growth and improvement. The example question was, what element of the program did you enjoy the most? Tell us what about the program made you feel good or made you feel empowered?
Yeah, and then for the third topic, we wanted to focus on how expanding awareness about the programs in communities, because it was not just about, okay, well, what has the youth, how has the youth's life been impacted, but also overall, have they been empowered to also share their experiences in their community. So we had asked them, like, what, if anything, have you learned about any other programs or external opportunities through this program? And then for the next question, it was focusing more on needs and additional resources and support. So we asked them, well, tell me about ways that your program has supported you or influenced you other areas of your life, and that may not have been discussed up until now. So just to give the youth a little bit more open space to share any other feedback that they may have. And then also, for example, has program provided academic support, personal development, or mental health related support as well? And this was just a way for us to understand what are some things that other programs could possibly have in the future that the youth truly want and need.
So now going into our first set of findings, and the first theme that we came across was improve self-confidence and cultural pride. So one of the first key takeaways I wanted to mention was the program gave them the self-confidence and reassurance to embark on different journeys of self-discovery and embrace their power. Unlike school, they felt like they were more free to be themselves without judgment or reprimand. And in one of the programs, one of the participants was mentioning that before joining the program, they were offered leadership roles in their school, in their community, and every time they had some voice of self-doubt in their head that would say, oh, you can't do this, or this isn't possible. And they were saying that their respective programs really made them feel empowered to be in that space, to be with other youth around their age, and they really felt they could be themselves. And the support systems they had there also helped them improve their self-confidence. And the second thing is participants have been in tune with libations, ancestry, cultural dance, and language. They described how rituals like reciting the Black Woman Pledge made them feel powerful and affirmed to their identities. So usually when the participants in the focus group that I had, they mentioned that usually every time they meet, they would always practice some type of libation or, practice such as like the Black Woman Pledge, or just talking about ancestors and how that plays a role in their everyday lives and always honoring them. And just hearing that was very meaningful because that's not something you really learn in school. And if your family isn't very culturally or religiously enriched, you don't really have these opportunities to really dive into your culture. And I really love how the programs help participants unlock that part of themselves that maybe they didn't have before. And then for their last point, participants express their comfort to be themselves and just exist as a Black girl without feeling policed or ridiculed. Participants express this level of comfort in their identity within Black girlhood to be unique and something they would like to see more of. In the group that I was talking with, the participants said that a lot of the time in their community, there's police cars on the street, police just hanging around, maybe staring at youth, giving them dirty looks. And it really made them feel uncomfortable and, always under scrutiny 24/7, not really having the space to be themselves or, having to worry about every move that they make. And again, I want to highlight this code, just exist as a Black girl without feeling policed or ridiculed is that safe space that these programs offer these participants that they wouldn't really have if it weren't for these programs. And that just really shows that where we're putting our money with the grants are really making an impact on these girls. And I wanted to highlight one of the quotes from focus group. And this person said, I feel like being in the group that I'm with the people that I surround myself with. I feel like being able to really present myself and be able to really object my voice and talk to them how I really feel about the situations. And being able to have that comfort, it helped me show others that they have people there for. They learned how to become more confident in themselves. In this quote, you also they talk about their support group, that they have people there for them, or in the group that I'm with, the people that I surround myself with. Not only are they learning that it's good to have a support system, but the support system they have is people that they can trust, that they can rely on, that they build each other up. Maybe in the school or community, they don't have that, but these programs have opened that up to them. Now going on to our next set of findings was theme 2, which was focused on development of leadership, advocacy, and SEL skills. The first part was there was prevalent mention of how program leadership showed up for them. For example, our participant talked about how the staff showed up for her when her mom passed away, which allowed her to open up more. In programs, sometimes it's park and bark. You go to the program, you go home. But the leaders in these programs have really made an effort to go beyond just the limits of when they're meeting and really showing up for a youth whose mom passed away. I had my grandma pass away due to COVID. Oh wow, 3 years ago now, and really having a support system helped that go smoother for me. So knowing that these girls have someone to be there for them when they're going through hard times is really meaningful. And then throughout their involvement, participants learn from powerful leaders what it takes to be an influential leader, guiding them on the right path. I know in my focus group, participants said that they knew what it was, like what a leader was, but not really who was behind it or what it truly meant to be a leader. Learning about the person behind that word was something that they highlighted, was showed to them throughout the program. And lastly, the program provided a transformational experience that has led participants to shift from negatively influencing their peers to positively impacting their peers and leading them towards academic success and occupational planning. And in the next quote, I believe I mentioned something similar to that last bullet point. And one of the participants in my focus group said, I went from being in fights to stopping fights. I'm more likely to stop fights other than be in them. And this participant mentioned previously throughout the focus group that they used to be like a rambunctious student, always trying to get in fights, skipping class, going to the bathroom, just to like hang out with friends. And they said their friends would always follow them to do, like the fights, the bathrooms. And they said their involvement in the program really changed that path of their life. And being in that space, again, having that supportive system really showed them that where they want to be setting their priorities. So they went from stopping fights and also like raising their hand in class and then having their friends raise their hand as well, always going to class and having their friends follow them as well. Because even if people in their schools and communities aren't part of these programs, the impact they're making is not only affecting them, but also the people around them as well. Then lastly, for my theme 3, the last thing that I'm presenting is college and career preparation and future aspirations. The first point I wanted to mention was participants talked about increasing programming for college/career preparation. They want to learn more about resources that can support them in college going post-school pathways. Sometimes going to college is not an option due to financial, reasons, or maybe some youth don't think it's the path for them. So knowing that there's other options unrelated to college, or maybe if they do want to go to college, having resources for youth to find scholarships or opportunities, maybe immersion experiences, also showing that there's options such as community college, trade school. It's not just your classic four-year university that costs like $50,000 a year. For example, I go to King University in New Jersey. We're pretty affordable over here, and we have a great community. And I feel like because we can all relate about the university being affordable, we have similar experiences, we have similar backgrounds, and it really helps us get along. And then the next point, participants want more funding opportunities for students that want to go to college. Additional funding would bring more talented girls who are in need of extracurricular activities and college preparation. So with the grant money, it's various words allocated, but it's been mentioned that they wanted some for there to be in the program or to learn about other scholarship opportunities offered outside where they could like write a paper, write a poem, draw a picture, write a story, and really have it highlight their experiences and how they want to take those experiences to put them forward and give back to the community in the future. And then participants highlighted how the initiative supported them in their lives and inspired their future aspirations to be change agents. And I didn't mention this here, but one of the participants in my focus group mentioned that because of the program, they were able to fly over to California to partake in a 3-day, I believe, research program, having them being asked, how has living in a community been? What are some things you want to see change? What are maybe some recurring themes you notice in your neighborhood? And it was really awesome just hearing her talk about that and be willing to share that they were able to do that. Honestly, any fully paid travel excursion as a youth is just baffling. I know I had one when I was in high school and I was like, is this real life? Is this money? And I think it's so great that they have that opportunity, because a lot of times people think travel is just oh, let's just go have fun on vacation. And yes, that travel is great, but it's also educational and immersive travel, which is awesome to be especially exposed to at an early age. And then the quotes that I want to highlight from this one is, I've opened my eyes to the world and also to see the things within my city that I hope to fix or help with someday. And the other quote was, I want to run a nonprofit organization in my hometown of Trenton. These youth want to give back. They're here because they want to learn and they want to see how they can become the next mentor of a program, or see how they can give opportunities to girls in their community that maybe didn't have those opportunities before. And having this and giving them the opportunity to have those same experiences they might have had when they were younger. And it's all a cycle of giving back. And I think that's amazing. And I'll pass it off to Haley to present the next theme.
Okay, so one of the other things that we wanted to focus on is understanding how has the program helped with the personal growth of participants and also in terms of mentorship. So participants have described how the initiative served as a safe space, which is always kind of the main building blocks of having a really good program. And they express appreciation for cultural elements that Jasmine had also previously mentioned, such as honoring ancestral connections via libations and other practices. Participants also express that their youth, much in their youth that made them feel discouraged. There's a lot of things, of course. That's why we wanted to focus on these programs, is because they're helping more underserved youth and the problems that they're facing. But mentorship and sisterhood provided by the programs ensured that they would have a bright future and be forced to be reckoned with. And they have learned to advocate for themselves. And I really bolded that because we, at some point, the participants may not be 100% part of the program, but there's something that they have to take away with them. And for me, one of the biggest thing is being able to advocate for yourself and be able to feel confident in your ability to do the things that you want to do. And the youth have also found mentors through the program that have showed them how to validate and love themselves. Confidence and in yourself and loving yourself are two different things. And both of them are very important to carry with yourself. So having youth learn those aspects about, okay, how do you love yourself and how do you validate yourself even during rough times, that's very, very important. And on top of that, the youth have said that they've learned to say no and how to confidently share opinions. That is something else that I feel like a lot of the times, when you're put a lot of under pressure and you feel like, okay, well, whatever you're getting, that's the best you're going to get. Sometimes you don't really think about, well, what do I truly want? And personally for me, like sometimes that's why I would say yes, 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 because I don't think I deserve something better. But I think that's why when the youth said that they've learned to say no, means that they understand their worth, and that's why their expectations are increasing. And because their expectations are increasing, they're going to be more willing to work hard to achieve those dreams. And if we go to the next slide. So there's some few quotes that I wanted to mention, and I think the youth was referring to a person who she considers their mentor, and she said she reminds me to remember who I am. She wants to see better in us, and that pushes me to be a better person and to be grateful for what I have. And Mama Ayana makes us remember that just because you grew up in white America does not mean that you have to become white America. And for me, that last quote is by far like the most powerful quote that I've read throughout all of the transcripts that I read. So definitely, I think something that we all can take us with is, how do we help youth understand their worth and be comfortable in who they are and never feel like they have to change themselves to make somebody else happy? Yeah. If you go on to the next slide. So this is the final theme that we wanted to discuss, and that's community problems and impact reflections. So one thing that we found was that there are no resources available to youth, so they divert into other risky activities like drugs and joining gangs, especially in the areas that we are focusing on, that's pretty prominent. Those issues are pretty prominent, and youth live in an environment like Trenton, where they feel the police is there not to protect them, but to instead keep an eye on them. And this is very similar to something that one of the youth had mentioned. And Jasmine had also mentioned this previously in one of her themes, and it's also pretty well known. This fact is pretty well known that sometimes when you don't have that right support system, or not even support system, but just the right people around you, you are very likely to divert into the wrong things. And youth sees value in involving their siblings younger than them into programs like these, and they have understood the value of guiding children in the right direction from a young age. And we understand that as the people who are creating the program. But for me, I wanted to include this part because Jasmine had mentioned how one of the youth had said that they're now more likely to stop fights, but then it doesn't end there. They're now seeing also value in including their younger siblings. So they're now thinking about the long-term impact of what they're doing, and that is very, very important. And finally, the youth now sees value in being not being on their phone continuously. They also discussed how their involvement in programs have inspired their friends to participate in extracurriculars. So not only are they stopping fights, but they're also helping their friends become more involved in more productive things that are going to help them in the future. So if we go on to the next slide. These are some of the quotes. There's no resources available to youth, so they divert into other risky activities like drugs and joining gangs. Youth live in an environment around Trenton where they feel the police is not there to protect them. This is what I said before as well. And then in the next quote, they said that ninth graders, all they do is smoke and drink because that's all they could do, I guess, to get sort of high in life. Or I guess or to get a sort of high in life, or sort of a feeling that they're doing something. Right. And somebody else had also mentioned that my friend wanted to get up and do stuff also because they saw I was never on my phone as much as when I joined this program, because I was always doing something. And I think that part about doing something is so important, because in that young age, they're really exploring, they're understanding the world around them. And at that point, the decisions that they make and who helps them guide to make those decisions truly matters. And that's why we need programs like the ones that we have given the grants to. Go on to the next slide. So in terms of the final thoughts and call to action, you'd see the impact they're making in their communities and within themselves. Funder involvement in programs. So one of the things that somebody had mentioned is we want the people who are giving us the money to know how we're doing. It's not just about you giving us the money and that's it. The youth has said that, like, I think that's one of the things that they really appreciated about YAB, is that we kind of were with them throughout that journey as well, from giving them the money to then understanding how has that helped them. So I think for future funders as well, that's something that you need to also try to do, apart from just giving the grants, is truly take interest in what that grant is doing and how it is impacting the youth's lives. There's lack of Trenton after school programs and safe hangouts places. Something else that somebody had mentioned was, it's also not just about having a program, but just a space where you can come and sit and relax for a while and not do anything. That's also very, very important to them. I remember in our LEAD Summit, we had a meditation room, and that was, I think, by far like one of the most famous spots during the LEAD Summit, where everybody was going there between sessions. So we definitely see value in having those type of safe spaces where they're not required to do anything. There are no expectation. They can just sit and relax and be calm. The next point is that we need more of gratitude practices and confidence building workshops. You'd seek more opportunities to be part of research and sharing their findings. I can speak from my own personal experience. I think from not just selecting the grantees, but then also being able to conduct research, and Jamelia was very helpful with us on this, where she helped us understand, okay, these are the questions that you can ask them. This is the things that, as a researcher, you should focus on, because now we understand, like for me personally, I understand more about, okay, how do we assess these programs for future? So I think the youth would also feel that there's a lot of value in having programs where they're truly the ones conducting the research, and they have the control over the information that they want to learn and share with others. And finally, youth enjoy free fun activities like sewing, dancing, fashion shows and photo shoots, and they want to be able to showcase their work to their families. And I think this is one of the most important parts. I think family involvement as much as possible is also very, very important, because for me personally, like anytime I do something good or there's any sort of achievement, the first person I tell is my mom. And I think her getting like to see that she's proud of me is so important to me. And I'm sure that a lot of other youth in my age or even younger than me want that, and they want to include their parents in that. They want to show their parents that they're making the right decisions. So I think in programs when they include the parents to a certain extent, I think it's really, really beneficial. Yeah, and so these are some of the final thoughts and call to actions, some things that maybe in the future programs could start involving, and just kind of thinking about the future. I think these are some things to keep in mind.
And before we move on, Haley, I just wanted to add one more part to the sewing and fashion shows. I believe it was the program Timbuktu. They have a program called So Dope where they teach young girls how to make their own clothes. And I believe one of the participants was saying that there is someone as young as 4 years old making their own like shirt or pants. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure which clothing piece. I thought that was so cool. I still don't know how to sew, can barely hand sew. So the fact that they're teaching practical skills to these young girls is so great. And also the fashion shows go hand in hand with the sewing because they do fashion shows to show off all the pieces they made, and that's where they get the family involvement to come. And the place is not, it doesn't have to be bougie or, luxurious or whatever. As long as the people are there and there's a support system to support you with all your clothing pieces that you've made. I know when I was younger, I did like a fashion, like making clothing program, and my leggings were horribly lined, they all mismatched patterns. But the fact that my mom was there to support me made me feel like I was top model Bella Hadid walking down the runway. And I feel
Yeah.
programs like this are so cool. And the fact that it's
Yeah.
also free as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just the main part of that is just the fact that they were able to see that they're capable of creating something.
Mhm.
That's a very, very important part of that practice for sure. Yeah.
Okay, and that kind of conclude, not kind of, sorry, that concludes our research element of the PowerPoint presentation. But now we want to go into our panel. So we have Naima doing the Q&A/moderation, and then our three panelists are going to be Jim, Karen, and Julia. So I'll let you guys take it away.
Hi, I'm Naima Griggs Fitch, and I'll be keeping up with the Q&A portion of everyone's questions coming in and just moderating and make sure everyone stays within our code for today for our meeting. So our first panelist question will be, what were your reactions to the narrative shared by program participants in the focus groups? Did anything inspire you or surprise you?
I felt like it was really inspiring to hear the narratives that people had to say about the impact that we did. Because a year ago we was just like we were just selecting like the grantees, like we didn't really like see what type of impact it would have, and it was really rewarding to see that the work that we have been doing for a year had paid off. And I know that as like activists, as community organizers, like we plant all of these seeds, and like seeing like that our work touches real people to a greater extent, as we saw with the participant, was really rewarding. And it really like showed us that this type of work matters, and um to keep on trying to change the rhetoric, the world. And I loved hearing the stories. They were really inspiring. And yeah.
Thank you. And we're just gonna start with doing one or two questions for us, and then the rest of the time we'll be inviting folks to share their comments and questions in regards to how we answer the panel's questions today. What are your key takeaways about how programs contribute to participants' personal growth and shifts in their leadership identity?
I can go. Hi, I'm Jules. One of my key takeaways about how the program contributed to the personal growth and the identities was just being able to hear the girls talk about like who they were when the program started and like now. Like for example, one of the girls in the group were talking about how they were like reluctant to like standing up for other people or standing up for themselves, or like when it came to advocating about social justice, they kind of were just like, we'll sit back and let somebody else do it, or they didn't feel that they were qualified, when in reality, like they had everything that they needed to be who they were. It was just that the program pulled those characteristics out of them. And it was like, and it was more giving them the confidence and like the consistency within like the programs and the meetings and stuff to be able to show them that I do and am able to do what I want to do. It's just a matter of, can I pull it out of the places where it's suppressed? So I think it was eye-opening especially at that age, because I know at my age, I definitely was not, I was acting up, and be very honest. So like, I wasn't thinking about doing that kind of stuff. I knew I had a career. I knew I wanted to do something, but like, I didn't want to use my true potential and my true path. And these girls know what they want to do. They know the community that they want to serve, and they know that where the help is needed, and they want to go into those specific areas and be the help from where they first started. So I think that was one of the cool things for me.
And then I would like for Chim as well to chime in on her experience as well as a panelist.
I would say that a lot of the groups that just like even the group that I had facilitated and then overhearing some of the other groups as well, it was just like an essence of how the support of the adults that were in these like programs were giving them outside of the program itself. I think for a lot of for a lot of them, that was very transformative in the way that specifically, I remember in one of the conversations that I was having with people in my group, they were saying that their advisor would show up to events outside of programming times, like if they had personal events going on. And that kind of shifted their understanding of what a leader was, because I think for them, seeing somebody who was such a like a figure of like authority, but showing compassion and showing like empathy and also showing that they mattered outside of the services that they were rendering to them, if that makes sense. That to them like showed them like the well-roundedness of a leader. And I think that also in the conversations I was having, a lot of them said that their understandings of who can be a leader and what traits and qualities that leadership encompasses definitely changed after they were immersed into the environments of their programs. I think it was just really just inspiring to really just hear the fact that it's something that I had to come to terms with myself, that leadership is so diverse and it's so vague, and like anyone honestly realistically can be a leader. And I think that for them, learning from them and their experiences in their programs, I was just able to take away that like that idea of leadership is like it's just so dynamic, and it's just being able to like really like just I guess being yourself, but also like making sure that the people around you are accounted for and are like made to be seen and heard is something that I heard them like kind of express in the things that they admired from their program leaders. So I definitely know that like these programs that they're in were definitely transformative, and like it was like that tangible like reimagining of what leadership was. And so yeah, that was just really beautiful just to see from their aspect, and even the things that I've learned in my time and like programs like the ones they've taken part of.
Yeah, and I wanted to add on to what Jim said on redefining leadership. I think this is really important because a lot of people who fill these positions of power are men, and usually they are white. So it's really easy to think that that's the only form of leadership that can exist. And having these programs redefine leadership is crucial in like uh, youth, especially underrepresented youth, finally value the type of diverse perspective that they have, and it's uh critical in also like empowering them and like finally like redefining the fact that they can do anything that they set their minds to, and that they aren't limited by anything, and that it's really important for them to acknowledge their own identity, because one of the things that um a lot of participants mention is the fact that it helped them like embrace that identity. And I feel like that's so important because when you're somebody who's a woman of color, or if you're just a woman itself, it like people tell you to not be already. So it's really 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 important to have these spaces where you're allowed to redefine, to find your own definition of leadership, and also accept yourself and see yourself as you are.
really fast, I also want to double back up both of their comments and say that, especially about the redefining leadership, I feel like a big eye opener that I learned because Chim and I were in the same group. So both listening to what the girls had to say, I just kept hearing like the same recurring parts that we were like stripping away the societal ideations of what a leader actually was. And they were inputting their own, like their true, like, this is what a leader may seem like to you, but when I'm meant to be a leader, this is what it's going to look like. And it was cool to see that, like for me, when I think about leadership and I go into certain leadership roles, I'm not thinking about as a leader what I'm going to make other people do. I'm thinking about who am I serving and what can they do to help pour into the effects of my life that I need, as well as helping them as well. Because it's not about, the leadership is not about us, like whoever the leaders are, it's about like what we're being able to provide for the people that we're serving. And I think that the girls were having a greater understanding by just not only serving the girls that they were with, but like serving themselves as well. They understood that there was a certain type of leadership that they needed in order to also serve themselves as well in terms of what they wanted to do with their power and what they wanted to do with their voice. So that was nice to add as well.
Were there any opportunities for growth and improvement that stood out to you? What are your ideas about ways adults can better support and serve the needs of young people?
I think that these programs were great. One of the areas of improvement that some participants mentioned were probably more engagement during online meetings. They said that sometimes they got a little bored and that they needed to have something more engaging to do while they were on online meetings. Another thing that they mentioned was probably more support in finding opportunities such as scholarships or internships. That was like just one of the things that they mentioned as potential areas of growth. But other than that, I think these programs were great.
I agree with Karen a lot. Like just from the conversations I also had, I heard a lot of like college like readiness and college prep that kind of needs to be implemented a little more in these programs. But I think that like Karen said, like it was the programs themselves like were really, really good, and like there was like a resounding feedback of just great things. So like I definitely know like the college like readiness aspect of it is something that on one hand like I definitely do agree that that is like essential in a way, because I know even though other people may decide to have like post-secondary like paths that are not in college, I know for a lot of students themselves, like if there were like programs that they were able to come to that can kind of give them that one-stop shop of like holistic, like, you know, wellness, but also like, you know, career and college, like readiness. I think for them that would create like much more of a safe haven, if that makes sense. But yeah, like Karen said, like these programs are like phenomenal. I just think there was like more, you know, support that needs to be in like the college aspect, because for some of these students, some of the schools that they are coming from don't necessarily always give them the greatest access to college prep, whether that's SAT prep, even though I know it's kind of pushing out into the optional like realm now. But like things like SAT prep, or like Karen said, scholarship or internship searches, or just like making sure that even after matriculation into like college that there's that support. I think that the youth could definitely benefit greatly from that, and being able to also like hoist their like engagement civically in their communities, while also like, you know, making sure that their academics are prioritized, so that they're given like the best like options like post high school graduation possible. Yeah.
For me, along with the college readiness that we kept seeing in repetition, it was just like more hands-on projects. Like the group that I was in, there was a specific project that they took place in June. And that was like one of the things that they kept talking about and kept bringing it up about how much like fun it was to like spend time with the other girls in the program and like get to know each other. And a few of them had like known each other like from school and stuff, so they were like familiar, but being able to actually get to know them outside of school standpoint where they actually have to interact and also help serve their community, they enjoyed a lot. So I saw a lot more of that and just like other outside exploration, like nature, just being outside and do like other tasks and stuff. But other than that, just continuing to keep the girls at the table, like, and in discussions and in the room for conversations about them and for them. But all the groups, not even the ones that I were just conducting, were all well supported, agree, and favorite top three. So.
What do you want grantees and program leaders to know about the impact of their programming on participants' lives?
One of the things that I want you guys to know is that your work is really, 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 really important. It's like I know that a lot of people do it because it's like the kind of support that you have like when you were younger. And I want you to know that this is you are having like you are actually offering that support that you needed when you were younger. And I want you to know that your work is important and that like through this research that we did, we saw the fruits of your labor flourish. So like any work that you're doing, keep doing it. It's really important to emphasize youth empowerment and bringing people up, because when you're young, it's really easy to fall into the idea that you can't do anything and that you're gonna get stuck in that stage of your life. But like you guys that come here and finally like revolutionize this idea of leadership, of service, is so important. I like I can't even find the words to emphasize how important this is. So I want you to say that your work is really important. Keep doing it, and um thank you. Yeah.
Piggybacking off of what Karen said, I think just like the essence that like showing up, um, and doing the work that isn't as common in your community, um, especially because a lot of the youth that are being impacted are system impacted youth or youth who are often disregarded, and like regarded as like tougher or not like the easiest to work with. I think are crazy and outdated ways to ever describe anybody. But I just think that the essence of like being there to be an essence of support and like a network of um just like I don't even have a word to really describe it, but just like being there for the people that that need it the most. I think that just hearing from the youth themselves, like just how impactful that their leaders have been in their lives. Like I said before, some of them regard like some of their program leaders as like figures, like I want to say like mother figures or like just people who are like parently or nurturing to them. And I think that when you're not getting that in schools, and sometimes when you're not getting that at home, or when you're not getting that from like other environments that are deemed like where you're supposed to like, you know, be nurtured or where you're supposed to have that comfort, it's really hard, especially with the world that automatically off go because of you being a Black young girl or Black gender expansive youth or a youth of color. Like it's already harsher for you. So like I just think that when there are figures like, you know, these program leaders that are there to show that compassion that I think the world does not give to us, it's just so, like I say the word transformative because that's my favorite word, but it's just so transformative. Like it's so changing. And I just want the grantees to know like that their work is really, really tangible. And that's why they were picked, because their work was doing, you know, the necessary, it was bridging the gap for communities that had not been like heard, or communities that had not been supported. And they were finding new solutions to the like centuries long, you know, queries in their communities. And that is just so, so impactful. So yeah, I just thank them all for the work they do, because it really shows itself when you really get to talk to their programmers. It's so there, and it's so transparent, and it's beautiful to see.
I would like the grantees and the program leaders to know that honestly, like, if I had an unlimited supply of flowers, I would just give them endlessly and honestly forever, because that's one of like my favorite models to go by, is just to continue to give people their flowers. And I feel like with these program leaders, it's been every time that we've met with these girls, it's just been greatness, greatness, greatness every time. And you can truly see that they were growing while we were growing, while y'all were growing, just in general, just being able to visibly see the work that was happening from start to end. Because, you know, a lot of times when you put work into something but you can't see it, you start to get discouraged, but there was no discouragement. You could see like we were pouring water into these roots and they were growing expeditiously, they were growing fast. And they acknowledged it themselves that they also were growing. So that's another great impact to see, that somebody might not want to acknowledge they're growing, but these girls at this age were like, we're growing, this is how we want to change, this is how we want to go forward. So just being able, and as an adult, it's hard to have that kind of impact on a youth, especially where we are today with this day and age. Everything is changing so fast, so different. So being able to have that connection, and I know and have heard from a lot of adults that they struggle to find that connection with youth in this day, but there's no struggle here. So it's just being able, so now the truth is do people really want to do it? Because we've seen in 3 different groups from 3 different places of 3 different kinds of work that the work can get done. It's just a matter of, are you willing to put it in? So I think watching you guys work very hard, seeing that we were working hard, seeing that the girls are working even harder to change and to grow was something that was just impacting me, impacting our members, impacting like everything. So.
And now we will be transitioning to the Q&A portion of this presentation. Thank you,
Okay. Hello, everyone. How was the webinar? I hope it was very informative. It was enjoyable, inspiring. If you're feeling the good energy from tonight, you can just unmute. You can also use the chat. Just let us know your reactions and your comments, your affirmations. But first, we have 2 questions. Let's get into that. So we have first question comes from K. Shakira Washington, she, her. So the question is, it sounds like you all walked away with so many new and amazing insights, skills, knowledge, etc. If you could choose one to share with other girls and gender expansive young people of color in your communities, what would it be? Anyone want to answer?
Can any of us answer it?
Yeah.
I can go first. So I said it earlier, but I'll just like restate it, was just learning that I have everything that I need, like, and I starting like to use this a lot, like within school and just work and just in regular life. Having everything you need to be who you are, I just feel like it's really strong for me, because not only myself, but I a lot of times feel, and especially being a young woman of color, feel that I don't feel like I feel qualified, or that in order to get to a certain position in my life, I need to work harder than the average person or harder than the average girl, white. I never felt like the playing field was level, and statistically it's not. So to be real, just being able to know that, like, just keep telling myself, you have what you need. Or like every time that I see like an obstacle or where I want to stop myself, I'm like, oh, I can't do this because of this. I can't do this because of that. I have to like refocus and like say, like, Julius, give yourself grace. You have everything you need. Because in reality, like I just said a little bit before, we come with what we have, and we come with what we know to use and to be able to be successful. It's just a mental barrier, or even haters just in general, people trying to stop you or mentally deprive you from what you think that you need to grow, when in reality, the seeds are already here. I have them. It's just a matter of mentally or like maturely, am I able to put forth the work into where I wanted to be.
I agree with Jules. I wanted to add on and say that never step away from what you fear, but step into it even more, because you fear it, because you know that you're going to blossom even more. You just might not see yourself as being ready, but the opportunity came to you, or is starting to come to you, because life and God and what's around you saw how powerful you were. It's just up to you to see the full vision.
All right, and we're going to move on to the last question that I see. If anyone else has any more questions, you can also place it in the chat, and you can also unmute yourselves just to let us know how you're feeling, what comments you have, etc. So we have a question from Erica Weems, she, her. The question is, after going through this project and process, what message or how do you image your future self?
I can go. For me, I think, and I got lucky with this, is I found a group of people that if I share anything with them, like all of my app members, they're always like happy, and they're truly happy. Like you can see that sometimes there are people that you share good news with, but you can see that they're not really truly supporting you or there for you. And for me, I think in the future, anything that I do from now onwards, I'll try my best to be 100% myself, because now I see the worth in being myself. Um, and I think having just that little bit of confidence now, it's really gonna help me push myself. And as Naima pointed out, like stepping into the things that you're really, really afraid of, because you know that it'll just make you better and it'll improve you. And you feel the value in improving yourself because there are people around you to support you. So for me in the future, it's just about having more confidence and not doubting myself and my abilities.
Okay, so something that I wanted to share is that, so I see myself in the future doing more of this type of work. I feel like when I first applied, I didn't really know what it was gonna be like, but like after having this experience and learning that I can have a real impact on other people, I want to do more of it later on in the future. And also I wanted to share that I feel like this specific aspect of uh, being able to help others like really helped me grow a lot, because like if I remember like going back to when I started, I felt like I was struggling a lot um when with myself, because I I was just like learning English. I was like so scared of speaking up. I was so scared of sharing my ideas. I felt like I couldn't really do much, and I felt like this like having this space here and like knowing that I can do something, or like that I can have some type of like I can be of help to somebody else who might be struggling just like me, was really motivating. And I'm so happy that I did this, because I feel like this program was like the thing that changed everything for me, and it's the reason that later on I was able to finally believe in myself and have the opportunities that I have now. Yeah.
I like to add too, in high school, I used to be involved in a lot of programs, focused around like advocacy, but more so around like, making safe decisions when it comes to like drugs or alcohol or, you know, being like giving back to your community with community service. But I've never really delved so in depth into like social justice work. I'm just even learning what that meant and what it's like to partake in that has really changed for me. And really seeing the focus groups, like just being in that space, having youth that like learn so much from their programs, and also youth that honestly like looked up to us in that space. They were like, wow, you guys are so cool. Like they were like so shocked. And I would love to see them in the same positions that we're in now. And like, you know, as we continue with programs like the New Jersey Justice Collaboratives for Girls, like seeing the girls in these programs then become members of, you know, our program and to give back to the community because they, like I mentioned before, like early in the findings, that they do see themselves giving back to the community. And even now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue social justice work, but at my university, they were offering me an internship for, you know, either the Office of Governance or the working for like the library or the Office of DEI. And during the Office of DEI, like kind of presentation, they were mentioning, oh yeah, they really focus on like social justice work. And I was like, sign me up for that. And it's really playing a role in my everyday life. And I just love giving back where I can and speaking up when I can, because my mom, she works in JP Morgan Chase, and a lot of times she's the token Hispanic woman immigrant in the room. And I feel like there's so much more than just being your demographic. So really highlighting that in different spaces and universities and workplaces and communities is really what I want to do, and make sure that my voice is amplified, not just because of what I look like, but because of who I am. Does anyone else want to add? No? Okay. Well, with that being said, that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. I hope you got all the information that you wish you could have heard and more, just hearing from our experiences, the experiences of other youth. And again, this presentation is recorded, so you'll be able to reference back anything that was said if you want to hear back from all the amazing experiences and words. So thank you so much. I'll stop sharing screen. I know Jasmine mentioned earlier, if anyone wanted to just like drop in the chat or just unmute and talk about their experience during today's session, or just experience in your program in general, if you've noticed any changes in your youth or just like what that work means to you.
Thank you all so much. I'm just going to read a few affirmations and close out our space a little bit. Jeanette shared that you all are powerful beyond measure in this crazy, chaotic, polarized world. You all calm her heart and feed her soul. Francis shared that you have reaffirmed my belief in humanity and that each of us carries, that each of us carries. Y'all are the light that never goes extinct. Jessie shared fabulous work. Erica is thanking y'all. Jessie also shares snaps to Harambe, Timbuktu, and Sisters Choosing Abundance for their transformative programming. Jeanette shares that you are light, hope, dignity, and so much more. Mama Ayana shares, so proud of you, young queens. And Shakira shares that you all are so amazing. The future is truly looking bright. Feel free to keep sharing that. I just wanted to just end with a few notes. I don't know about you, but my heart is feeling so full after tonight's presentation. It's really so powerful to have been part of this really just groundbreaking process from start to finish. From the very first interviews with the Youth Advisory Board way back when, I knew that this project was going to be very special. I don't know a single other project that so intentionally puts youth in decision-making seats and then puts those same youth leaders in a place to see those decisions through via real accountability mechanisms like program evaluation. So thank you to our amazing youth leaders for your passion and dedication for girl leadership in New Jersey. You really inspired so many people, adults and young people alike, through your leadership, and I'm so excited for the future of girls and gender expansive youth in New Jersey. I also want to give a huge thank you to our amazing NJJCG collaborative organizers. I hope that this presentation has been a way to celebrate your efforts in a very tangible manner. The work that you've been doing on the ground is having dividends that are affecting whole communities and are going to be affecting generations to come. I know that this work isn't easy. It's not always a consistent upward trajectory, but it's so, so, so important. And I hope that's been illustrated through this really just excellently curated presentation. And of course, none of this would have been possible without our funders who trusted youth wisdom in our organization's process. Thank you to NJ's Division on Women. And I also want to thank our Justice and Joy team and contractors, Jamelia, Jasmine, Jesse, Jeanette, Mary Ann, for all your project expertise, Becky, Jasmine, Holly, for all your finance and HR assistance, and our amazing core team of experts from across the country. Every single person played such an important part in creating, sustaining, and just really making sure that the environment of the Youth Advisory Board is safe and just amplified and elevated. So thank you all for spending this evening with us, honoring both the youth work behind NJJCG and the NJJC collaborative organizers. This last hour and a half has been really special. We'll keep everyone updated on what's next for us in New Jersey, and we're definitely not finished yet. So look out soon for what we're coming up with in the next few months. Thank you all. Keep sharing your affirmations in the chat box, and we'll share this recording soon via email. Thanks again.